your confidence, because it has to happen incrementally. You don't just go from a swapper. I'll do questions in a minute. Let me just. Yeah, it's the same. There's no difference. Keep the bike balanced, give the appropriate inputs, nothing more, nothing less.
Miles, can you just quickly ask, is Bill Fisher here?
Bill Fisher, right there. So, there's a few key things to sand. One is having access to your rear brake, because your rear brake is your brake. If you try to slow down with throttle, it might help you. If you try to slow down with front brake, it's probably going to be catastrophic, depending on the sand. So having access to your rear brake while you're in the standing position or slightly back, that's how you stop. So you're riding along, everything's good, you're killing it, but the guy in front of you crashes. He might make really good traction, it might be a good thing, but probably got negatives. Your instincts at that point has to be clutch in, rear brake, lean back. And the bike will just go with the nose high. And I made the guys practice this. Like, okay, you're going to need it, obviously. If you get a bit out of control and your speed's building, and that little bit more throttle you gave isn't doing what you want to do, and you don't want to just give more, clutch in, rear brake, lean back. The bike will stop. The back wheel will sink like an anchor, and it'll go. So that's really important to know. That's different, okay? That doesn't help you today on this greasy clay. It doesn't help you on the road. It helps you in sand. So ABS on the rear would be a bad thing, probably, because it's not going to lock up and dig. It's an anchor. ABS is going to make it roll more. So yeah, you can turn your ABS off in deep sand. The only time I've ever turned ABS off, I don't think I turned it off crossing the Simpson the first time, but I turned it off during Fink, because that was a bit silly, and the front wheel, when you need front brake and the ABS is letting it go, was not a good thing. So crossing the Simpson Enduro Pro, front brake's good, back brake's good. If you don't have Enduro Pro, maybe turn your ABS off. So that's one thing. Everything else, if you're riding along on a good surface and you can see it gets sandy ahead, slow down. The outback gives you crazy, or even around here, gives you crazy confidence. I can't believe how smooth the pea gravel roads are. It's like they get these special laser plows to just make the most perfect road and then just cover it in millions of tons of ball bearings. We only hit bumps today a few times. Like, it's amazing. So my point there was smooth. Where was I going with that?
Slow down before you hit.
Yeah, you cruise along, the texture changes, the colour changes. First thing I do, a gentle. If you see it early, you can give a really gentle input. Then snick it down a gear. And then look and go, okay, people have died in that hole. This. I can miss everything altogether. Or I want to take that, or I want to take that. And once you've gone down from 100 to 80 to 70 to 60, you can just get it in a torquey gear and just go positive throttle. It's like you're just setting a choke on an old lawnmower or something, just get it, cruise control, that's all you're doing. This is your cruise control. And the thing will go through. If you need to add any, add 2%, 5%. And with your finger over the front brake, not pulling it, you can be, this is like brain surgeon's tool. This, sand, my bike moved 2 millimeters, boom, is no precision, no skill, it's just roll the dice and see what happens. So be precise with your inputs like you would be on slick stuff. And yeah, so corners, it's the same. The bike's going to be tricky, you've got to slow down gradually when you see there's a corner ahead. The old pin it theory doesn't really work when you can see there's a corner ahead, does it? What are you going to do? So just slow down, and then it's really important to get back on the throttle early so the bike's steady and pushing, because that pushing bike is happy. And if you wait too long, the front will bury, and then you'll have to pin it more. So precise throttle at the right time, not too much too late. Enough at the right time, a little bit more, a little bit less, a little bit more, a little bit less, and the bike will react really predictably. If you're nervous and you're cautious and you don't get on it early enough, the front will bury. The only thing to save you is a big fistful, and then you've just got to manage a rodeo ride. So it's like riding slippery clay. Keep the bike balanced and be precise. Sure, the throttle inputs might be a little bit higher, but they're not massive. Cornering, braking, and get amongst it. Get your mojo. Like Lego man. Like I do see a lot of Lego men out there on the trail, and I try to get them to, the foot pegs are like balance devices. I was thinking, I think a lot when I ride, and I thought today I needed like a rocking horse set up like a motorbike, and a throttle next to it, and I need to like have some way of controlling the lean angle of the rocking horse and actually making the throttle move the appropriate amount. I'm sure most people would go, really? Because the inputs are really different. So that's it. It's not rocket science. If you think about it sensibly, it doesn't matter if you Marc Marquez at MotoGP, that's almost the way to ride sand. It's just being balanced and precise on your motorbike. The bike wants to do it. It's like getting up hills. A good rider will barely vary the throttle. He'll keep momentum and make it happen. The thing about riding the Simpson Desert is over the sand dunes, there's a hook turn. They don't just go up and over. So you've got to learn to go momentum over the dune, then turn left, then turn right, and then back down the other side. And we took this bunch of novices. They exceeded the experienced riders after 1 to 2 days with a bit of nurturing, because the experienced riders, it was hard to erase their hard drive. The novices, I've got videos of them going up the dune, around, standing with just like this torquey grunt of second or third gear on a 1200 or an 800, and the bike they were slow riding sand dunes, turning. Not pro riders. So it can be done. You just got to approach it slowly and sensibly and not get caught up in the freakiness of it all. Is that enough?
Yeah.
2 questions? Any questions? Yeah, tyre pressure. Today, wouldn't change the pressure at all. I had 38 in the back, 32 in the front. Yeah. So for today, we had little bits of sand. You don't change anything. For Simpson, I think with fully loaded bikes, I probably started with like 20 and 25, and it was a bit scary with 45 litres of fuel and all that, and gradually went down to probably 12 at the front and 18 at the back. But that was with loaded bikes. So yeah, you drop your pressures for days of sand, but you don't adjust your pressure. Funnily enough, yesterday we did some sand that was harder than crossing the Simpson Desert, because there was just tyre tracks and there was bushes to the left and right. Like your handlebars are rubbing in the bush in your elbow and you're trying to stay in a rut. It's like you're a contortionist. And there was deep powdery ruts. You try and ride the middle and it wasn't really stable enough to keep you there. Then you go that side, then you go that side. It was pretty erratic, and there was some hills, and it was tougher for me doing that than it was across the Simpson. And I had full pressures, probably that made something to do with it. But the guys that were with me did really well. I think their eyes were like this, especially one of them, but they did really well. One of those guys crashed today in the slippery stuff. I don't know if he's here, but I'm not going to dob him in. But like, those guys did really well yesterday in tricky conditions, and then chuck a bit of slime, intermittent slime, and it brings one of them down. So no one's immune, but they're a good rider. It's just keeping it safe and doing what the bike wants, not fighting the bike. Peace out. I hope that helps.